Hello, all my yarny friends. I'm Sara Sach. Welcome to another edition of this or that or the other thing. Well, today we're not doing a big video. We're not going into a bunch of demonstrations or things like that. Today's video for this or that, I'm just going to ask you a question. I mean, isn't that what this is all about? I ask you a question, you give your answer, you comment underneath in the comment section, and remember, there are no wrong answers. All of our answers are important because I can learn from you and we can all learn from each other's experiences with yarn and crochet. All right, so are you ready for today's question? Today's question is this. When you're crocheting, are you mostly crocheting for others? Or do you ever take the time to crochet something for yourself? And I am guilty of rarely ever making anything for myself. And a lot of times I'll make something and I really love it and I'll think that I'm going to keep. And then the next thing you know, I'm giving it away. And that's okay too. And I'm really particular about who I give things to. I'm not going to give something to someone who's not really going to appreciate it. Like, they may not appreciate it as much as I do, but I want them, it's kind of a selfish thing. But I do want them to appreciate the time and the effort that went into making something for somebody else. In other words, I took the time to find a pattern or design something. I took the time to pick out the perfect yarns. Then I took the time to stitch it up. And also, a lot of times when I give it, I try to put it in a nice bag with a note as to why I gave it. And there's nothing wrong with that at all if most of what you do is to give away. Now, I do know there are a lot of people who do markets. Markets can be a lot of fun. And I know a lot of schools will have sales to raise money for schools and you can buy a table. And here in Mustang, they have a market in the summer. I think they might in Yukon also. I just haven't checked into it. But it's a really neat and fun thing when you go out to the markets and you see all the tables, and sometimes they're indoors, sometimes they're outdoors, and all the wonderful crochet items that are for sale. That blesses my heart. You know why? Because people not only are crocheting, but people who don't crochet are buying it and loving crochet. And that's important to me. And I used to do a lot of markets years ago. Before we moved to Colorado, we lived in Tulsa. That's where I'm from, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I had some of my things in a shop. Actually, I had them in two different dog shops because at that time I was doing a lot of stuff for the dogs, making dresses and hats and diapers and lots of things. And I sewed as well as crocheted items. And I did okay for a while. One shop really ripped me off really bad, but we're not going to go into that. Those things happen. Okay, but I really did enjoy it. It was a lot of work because when you're in shops, you have to go and check in weekly, make sure everything's tidy and neat and everything. And then when you're doing a market, it's a lot of work because you have to have the table and the setup and all of that stuff. But it can also be a lot of fun because you get to know other people that are doing markets and you learn from each other. And it's just a really fun thing to do, markets. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. That's a subject for another day. All right, let's get back on topic. When you're crocheting and you make something for yourself, what do you usually make? Do you make bags? Do you make shawls? How about bathing suit cover-ups? Or maybe just necklaces and hair accessories? I'm really curious what you're looking for to make for yourself. And I also would like to know what you have done, what you have made for yourself. And sometimes I'll make something, like I said, and I'll make it for myself. And I think the reason that I give it away is I feel a little bit guilty just keeping it, That beautiful shawl is for me, but maybe I need to give it to someone and let them know I care about them, something like that. So I don't want you to ever let yourself feel guilty or bad because you made something for yourself. We need to do that. Every now and then, we need to do that. All right, real quick, let me tell you a couple of things that I have made for myself. Number one, look behind me. My whirly jigs, I love them. You can also see up there. I've made the hanging mandalas. I love those as well. And you can also see behind me my home hanging thing, wall hanging. And I have a pillow that goes with that set. I'm keeping all of those for myself. But that doesn't mean that I might not make one for somebody else. Because I have, and I do. And it would be really interesting just to know what is your favorite thing to make for yourself. I also love to make myself hats, and mostly sun hats. Up in Colorado, I did wear more winter type hats than I do down here because our winter is a lot shorter and our summer is a lot longer. We actually get really good long summer, spring, fall, winter. We seem to get a good amount of all four of the holidays. Not as much winter and spring, but, or I should say fall and spring. They're not as long. But in Colorado, it seemed like it was a super short summer. I have a really long growing period down here, and I love that. I'm going to talk more about my garden next week in case you're wondering how my garden's doing with all this rain. Don't worry. I'm going to talk about that next week, okay? All right, again, back to the subject. And back to the question, do you crochet things for yourself? One lady told me that she loves to make blankets for herself. And then when the grandkids come over, they all know Grammy, she calls herself Grammy. Grammy has blankets for them to sit under when it's cold. And she's kind of like me. In the wintertime, I'm freezing cold. And in the summertime, I'm sweaty hot. And so I don't always like to work on blankets in the summer. But I will, especially if they're baby blankets. I like those. I like to make those. But anyway, I'm just curious as to things that you really, really enjoy making for yourself. And if you give me some really great ideas, maybe we can come up with some new patterns and ideas that we can crochet for ourselves. Now, I told you this video is going to be just a little bit shorter than our normal this or that video, so it's just a really quick video. But I just also wanted to end with just thanking you all for watching my videos. And I hope that you'll subscribe. I hope that you'll like this video. And I also hope that you'll remember to ring the bell. And the reason that that's important is because that tells YouTube you want to see more of my videos. And I just really enjoy our time together. And I realize this isn't a live video like we do on Tuesdays, but it is a fun video because you know what? I get to read all of your comments. And I really love reading all your comments. You don't realize how much I learn from all of you. I have been crocheting for over 50 years now. And I love it. It's one of those things, I put it down occasionally if I'm going to do some sewing, occasionally some knitting or some other types of crafting. I do love to paint. I just painted some new pots for outside. Although they're so pretty, I think I'm going to keep them inside. And I love doing crafts with my grandkids. So I do a lot of different crafts. But the bottom line is crochet is my heart. That is my healing place, is when I'm sitting and crocheting, especially when I'm crocheting something for somebody else. But of course, today's video is about crocheting for ourselves. And I just don't want you to feel bad if you crochet something for yourself. Crochet is art. We all love art. So keep on crocheting, okay? So my friends, keep calm and crochet on. I'll see you next time for another edition of This or That. And remember, comment in in the comment section.